This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. Today's guest makes me wish I had a middle name, or two. But it's okay, he gave me one of his. It's Danny Lee Blackwell of Night Beats. I've wanted to have Danny on for quite a while, so I have to thank our mutual friend Paula. Without her, this episode probably would not have happened. Danny and I soon discovered that we have another mutual friend, Clyde Mays, and he keeps popping up when you least expect it. But we open the show with a cameo by Sam Cooke's Night Beats album and my dogs, Albert and Hammond. Danny grew up in Texas and talks about his unusual influences like Indian classical music and his brother's influence on his musical taste. He started off playing drums just to get into bands. That led to him playing out by the age of 15, but he has serious stage fright. And that anxiety reaffirmed that this was his calling. Danny left Texas for Seattle because he loved everything about the city. Plus, his sister was there, and that's where he started Night Beats. Danny talks about being open to magic in the studio and keeping things as raw as possible. He's worked with a lot of great musicians, including Robert Levon Ben of Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, which is how I became familiar with it. Danny discusses how they met and how important Rob has been to him and to the band. The sound of Night Beats is always evolving, and that's evident in the new album Rajan, and it is something special. I think part of that's because Danny is not a gearhead, but he's a collector. He's willing to experiment and seek out unusual sounds. Rajan is out on Suicide Squeeze and Fuzz Club Records. Go get it. And follow Danny at The Night Beats on Instagram and Twitter. Night Beats should be hitting the road soon, so keep an eye out for that. Follow us at Performance ANX on Twitter and Instagram. And you can help us out with coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety or buy merch at performanceanx.threadless.com. Now let's get mysterious with Danny Lee Blackwell of Night Beats on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network. Stupid Zoom.
I liked your title, damn it.
Yeah. I have to create a whole new link just so we can do the intro.
Yeah. I was like the last word of that one too. Okay, cool. Let me just jump into it.
Yeah.
This is Danny Lee Blackwell of the Night Beats, and you're listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast. This is Danny Lee of the Night Beats, and you're listening to This is Danny Lee Blackwell. This is Danny Lee Blackwell of the Night Beats, and our new album Rajan comes out July 17th. You're listening to the Performance Anxiety Podcast with Mark Shea. We turn the sound off. Okay.
All right.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Just getting situated here.
Oh, no problem, man. Take your time. We got as much time as you need.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. Oh gosh, everybody's napping in my house, and so we didn't put the dogs away, and now somebody must be walking in front of the house because they're losing their minds right now.
Oh,
of course. They've been quiet for literally 2 hours and haven't done a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. They knew.
Oh, they
somehow.
did. They felt you. Albert, get out of here.
Hey, Albert.
Hey, let's see, Albert. There's Albert.
Oh yeah.
There's Albert.
Oh, hey, Albert.
He's the biggest derp ever.
How old is he?
We think he's about 2. He was a rescue. My daughter rescued him.
Oh, nice.
I think
amazing.
He's like part pit bull, part lab. We think. Nobody's really sure, but he's so dumb. He's so sweet. He's so sweet. He just wants to love everything. But
yeah.
my dog, it was another rescue. He's part Australian Shepherd, part boxer.
Okay.
He's actually incredibly smart until the two of them get together and then they lose their minds.
Yeah.
So
combined IQ of let's say 150.
Maybe.
So that could go both ways.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sorry, my dog. I'm just keeping it. My dog is staring out the window intently.
No worries.
Oh my gosh.
No worries.
Albert, what are you doing? Oh my. All right. Well,
you could put on a YouTube channel of rain sounds with no thunder, and it might
Maybe that
might work.
Oh, if I can wake somebody else up in the house and have them do it, that might work.
Oh yeah, take your time. No rush here.
Well, I got two things before we get started. Two things that are like a constant presence with me right now. Mm-hmm. One is.
Oh, nice! You got it.
Oh yeah,
nice.
It's on all the time.
Beautiful. That's the one.
I love it.
That's the one.
And I know you quit drinking, but
yeah. Oh, cool.
Nice. I got the stupid filter on, so it's not.
The motor oil, right? The BRMC one.
And I don't know how to turn the filter. I haven't cracked this open yet. There you go.
When you hold it there, it's It's in focus.
I haven't cracked it open yet because I wanted to have. Well, the only person from BRMC I haven't had on yet is Robert. So
okay.
I've been trying to reach out to him to see if he'd come on and I can try it with him.
Do a little cheers, yeah.
But I haven't been able to get up with him yet, so we'll see. This may get opened before that happens.
We've created ways around this, believe it or not, Mark. Here you go. Cheers. There you go. A little coffee.
Nice. I'm actually, since I haven't cracked that open, I've got Clyde Mays.
Oh, nice one.
It's Alabama.
Oh shit, I've had that before. Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but it's not bad.
I remember just being so blown away by the packaging and being like, I do definitely feel like either I have to, this is like Rust Belt or I'm on my way and I've either arrived to California and this is the whiskey they got, or like this is like something that someone gave me before I had to leave the Dust Bowl. And I think we were touring through the South at that time too. So
that makes sense because it says it's an Alabama whiskey.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I lived in Alabama for 10 years and
oh, no shit.
It's they don't do whiskey as good as Tennessee. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite. But I bought it, so I have to finish it at some point. Nothing against Clyde. I mean, it's good. It's just not my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this becomes
I'm an Irish whiskey. Yeah, I'm an Irish whiskey guy. That's definitely my favorites.
I've always and this is kind of I don't know, but this has kind of become cliche in things, but I actually like Buffalo Trace a lot.
Really? Yeah.
Buffalo Trace is
I feel you.
Really good, but it's kind of become like a, I don't know. I don't watch, I don't like doom scroll on social media much, but I follow a couple people who are very knowledgeable about whiskey, and they're like, well, Buffalo Trace is kind of become that thing where you like Buffalo Trace because people say you should like Buffalo Trace. Like, I don't know.
There's this. I mean, where doesn't that shit happen though? Like,
it's true. Music, big thing.
Music, guitars, cars, state of mind. No, we're not gonna get so deep. I'm not giving you too much of a.
We're not gonna jump in
warm up here.
We're not. Yeah, we got to build into that.
Yes, absolutely.
So to get to that place, what I like to do is kind of find out a little bit more about your background and how you got into music and how music became so important to you in the first place. You're from Texas originally, right?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Me too. I only lived in Texas for 3 years, but I was born in Killeen, so.
Oh, nice one. All right, Colleen.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right, well, Fort Hood, really.
Yes. Yeah, my dad was in Fort Hood. He was stationed in Fort Hood, like in the 40s. Oh. So there's a little bit of history right there. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad's there in the 70s. So
crazy.
So
yeah. Well, I guess technically, my dad was born in 1935.
Oh wow.
He was in the South. He's like Ardmore, Oklahoma, really is where he's from.
Okay.
But then, as a teenager, military, and then he went to Fort Hood and went to Germany at some point in between wars. So he wasn't, stationed over there during the World War II or nothing, but he was eligible, I think, technically by age. But he moved to California. I don't know, and he didn't tell me much about that, surprisingly, which is during the 60s, man. He lived in Haight-Ashbury, apparently, in San Francisco, like during this, like he could have fucking Jimi Hendrix as his neighbor and he wouldn't even have known it. Or at least he's not telling me. Like, I don't know. So, full disclosure, there is some anonymity to my own life a little bit. So
wow.
So as far as like, I grew up in Texas. I went to school in Dallas, and I was raised by my brother. I lost my mother early to cancer, but my brother took care of us. And I got a lot of my kind of musical exposure from him. And and I can go more about this later if you like, but just to give you a quick, I moved to Seattle after high school, and then but previous to high school, I was playing in bands and I just kind of at an early age was a lover of music, and nice. I just wanted to play. I wanted to make bands. I wanted to play guitar. I love music to like the point where I couldn't find. I find this a lot where like, you become the thing that you need in the moment. So like if, you need just like on a practical sense, like if you need to make dinner, you're going to learn how to cook or something, You're going to cook for yourself, you're going to have to learn. So, down to like drumming was the first kind of thing that I kind of took on for like a band setting, because like I was just trying to get bands together. I was trying to play and just make noise. I loved all that. I love a lot of music. So
we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Before you skip over this ad, give me 1 minute. Like most podcasts, I pick sponsors carefully, and I use the products that advertise here. Pure Spectrum CBD is a product that has been really beneficial for me. They have a wide variety of great products that can be used on a daily or as needed basis. I've been using the tincture every day, and it's been wonderful for easing anxiety. And I absolutely love the isolate. I use it instead of acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and it's worked so well for the relief of aches and pains. They also have soaks, lotions, salves, gummies, and more, plus an entire line for fitness recovery. They even have products for your pets. See everything they offer at purespectrumcbd.com. And if you have questions, they're there to help. They helped me when I had no idea where to start. After you fill your cart, use code PERFORMANCEANX for 15% off your purchase. Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD.
Yeah. So like by the time I left Dallas, I was playing in bands, like I had like fake ID, and I was playing in bars, and like, we had a MySpace, and it was actually even kind of before MySpace too. So This is like emails and ads, and my bandmates were older too. They were like all 28, 29. And I was like 15, 16 through 17, I think, years of playing. And yeah, Seattle, I kind of called home after a while, because I moved up there, and my sister was up there, and I started playing up there a lot. And
so what kind of music really hit a chord with you early on, besides, maybe Night Beats by Sam Cooke?
Yeah.
What really made you want to play, maybe is the best way to put it.
I think if anything, one early one was so blues. I was very blues adjacent, by being in Texas. I mean, I grew up in the suburbs in a mixed race household. So like, it wasn't like I had an uncle that played guitar or anything, I was really, kind of learning from what I could, and art was always around. So the blues, man, like the blues were the songs that, like, when I was coming into my own with my even mental penmanship or whatever, I felt the blues said it all, Okay. So I don't know. I see the blues in everything though. So like, it doesn't necessarily mean that I just focused primarily on playing 12-bar blues or anything, but part of being a band that just like played and like was doing gigs and stuff, there was room for experimentation, like in my writing, but for the songs that I put together for like playing live and like 30 to 50 to an hour long set, like those songs were meant to bring life to whatever it was. Yeah. So music, punk rock to eventually psychedelic rock, but I saw psychedelic rock through Indian classical, which I was really exposed to also at an early age.
Oh wow.
Yeah, very lucky for that. There's a really big Indian classical music scene in Dallas, actually.
Really?
And it was actually just through my brother's like college friend or something that we kind of had like the know on like when, you know, Ali Akbar Khan was playing, or like when Ravi Shankar was coming through town or something.
Wow.
And it would be at some like student hall somewhere, or like some random theater, like Moody Theater at SMU, or, you know, like it'd be some spot that like, you know, it was just to me incredible. And we would go to quite a bit. And it was a range of things from like kind of Carnatic singing style, which is you know, very dramatic, very modal. I don't really study music theory that much, but it is it's fascinating whether or not, you know, like it's trippy, like it's psychedelic. And
cool.
that's something that we could talk about too, you know, like the nature of like what that means, and like how it gets misread a lot and misinterpreted. And you know,
I'm not super familiar with that, so I would love to learn more about that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's fun. Yeah. Indian classical music, and then the blues music, I don't know, soul music.
Well, you can't escape the blues in Texas. I mean, man, it's
again, so I'm like kind of in it, you know, like when I'm there, and like the places I'm playing in Dallas too, you know, they're all named after like Blind Lemon Jefferson or Robert Johnson, you know, Lightning Hopkins, like all these people. So like to me, that was also around the time when I was old enough to figure out how like Kazaa and like Napster and like LimeWire and like all of those old school ones used to work, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I'm just downloading everything. I got like a journal. I'm like taking notes on stuff, and, you know, I'm just trying to study, you know?
Okay.
Like this is the shit I want to study. This is stuff I love to learn, because to me, it's just, it's kind of unlocks layers of, I think, understanding of something has the potential to like unlock a deeper love of something.
Oh, I agree.
So yeah. And
so how old were you when you started playing out live with bands and other people? 15. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And 15 was my first show.
How long into that did you realize that this was something that you wanted to pursue as, I mean, for lack of a better word, career or profession? I mean, it's more of a, I guess I would think 13. It's more of like a vocation, but.
Yeah, 13.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah, I mean, once I started playing guitar and I really started to get a grip on certain things about it.
So you knew even before you were out in front of an audience that this was what you wanted to do?
In a way, yeah.
Wow.
You know?
A lot of times I'll hear that it was, you know, I got out and the audience reacted and I was like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. But
I had mad stage fright.
Really?
I had like, I had like really weird, and I still do have like weird tics of like under the skin anxiety, to where like it doesn't really have anything to do like with like the amount of people or the like big, small. Sometimes like early on it would get triggered by just the act of being on a stage and under lights. It would make me like just kind of like have to go to this place where there's like anything I've maybe tried to remember or tried to like practice or something.
Yeah.
Is gone.
Oh,
it's gone. So in a way, that free fallingness of it gave me some sense of like, if I could free fall and like achieve something while I'm free falling, not achieve, but like if I could do the job while I'm free falling, then maybe there's something to that, you know, like the release or like the submission or something, the kind of acceptance of what is at that moment, man. Yeah. Like that kind of started to blow my skirt up. So really? I was really feeling good about like, you know, this is now a place where I could take those songs and you know, like bring them to life. Like I could like bring something to it that is now shareable. You know, the way that I felt hearing certain bands at a young age, watching them play or listening to certain things on my brother's Walkman, like those are the things that I thought I noticed at an early age that gave meaning and purpose in a way to a lot of things.
This was pre-Night Beats? Was this, you know, just playing in other bands?
Yeah. This is a few different groups. I started writing as Night Beats 2007. 2008, 2007. But I was kind of working on the concept in Dallas. I bet you if you look under some like notebook from my chemistry class, I'll have like Night Beats bubble letters written somewhere, you know, working on that typeface. Working on that logo.
When did you start writing your own music?
Writing my own music. So I probably had my earliest like kind of like recordings you can probably track down, which would have been on something like this. And it's like just a tape. Cassette recorder.
Yeah.
I think I found some dating from like, let's see, when did Evil Empire come out? By Rage Against the Machine. 96, 97, something like that. Okay, so it must have been like a year or two after that.
Oh wow. Okay, man.
I'm just like, I like to experiment with little things if I have the chance. So those are the kind of toys that I liked, you know, in a way.
Okay.
And playing with poetry, you know, like writing things and showing it to my brother, feeling embarrassed about it, you know, not doing anything with it. And then eventually around like 15, or like 13 or so, when I started really just stealing my cousin's guitar. At this point, I wasn't really borrowing anymore. I just tried to, the songwriting process started, you know, before it is what I know it is now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, embryonic.
Sure. Yeah. Ooh, love that word. That's a good one.
Embryonic. I try.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I'll credit that one to Clyde Mays.
Thank you, Clyde. Thank you, Clyde. Good old Clyde and his vast vocabulary.
He makes me smarter.
Yeah, I believe it.
My dumb dog.
Alfred.
I don't know where Albert went. He's gone.
Albert. That's hilarious.
Anyway, you were doing embryonic songwriting in 96 or so, around the time of Evil Empire. Rage.
Yeah. Something like that. I think the first time I brought like a song to like another person, like a drummer, for instance. Traeger, my old buddy from Texas too, who played in the group for the first couple of years. He was like the touring group for the first couple of years. He was one of the first drummers I played with. And but before that, even there was just sort of a few folks in my neighborhood that we would play together, you know, like him and like one neighbor had like a drum kit and kind of a jam room. Like there's like a few amps and I'd bring over my cousin's guitar, and there was a bass that his name's Zach's older brother would have, and you know, we kind of just all jam, and like we're all kind of nerds anyway too. So like we were doing things anywhere from like King Crimson songs to like you know, some blues shit that we just wanted to go wild on, give each other sections to solo, you know, this kind of stuff. I wasn't in band, but he was in band, you know, I was in jazz band for one day and then I couldn't hack it because like I wanted to play jazz drums, man. And they gave me one snare and told me to learn theory. And I said, no, man, nah. I can't cage this bird, you know? I don't know. Just so no fucking discipline, dude. You know, not into it. Who are you to tell me how to count? You know, stuff like that. Like just entitled little bitch, you know, like what can I say? But it was great because like I got along with the musicians from like those, you know, classes. Like some of my friends from like school and stuff were like in jazz bands, so they knew certain things and I didn't know shit, but we all loved music and it was fun. So I don't know if that's like songwriting really, but there's definitely like practice from that, you know, like practice with the capital P, you know, like the art of like playing with people and listening to people and seeing how things can inspire you, and you know,
and learning how to play in a group.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, not exactly. Making sure everybody has space in the setting.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Night Beats, I mean, I guess technically formed in Seattle then, right? What made you move up to Seattle?
Seattle was a city where I felt like musically I wanted to plant some roots. My sister was living in Seattle, so that was a good incentive because we're really close friends, and you know, I wanted to be by family. I was looking for a place to put some roots, I guess. That's what else could I say?
Well, that's pretty awesome, though. I mean, it's doesn't have to be more than that, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love Nirvana. I love Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, there you go.
I love Quincy Jones. I love things about Seattle. I love the Sonics, like I love things about Seattle that were just so, like, to me, like I wanted to put my king, or really my queen, on a certain square to where I was able to really play the board. And I knew that, like, if I was in Seattle, I'd be further enough away from other things that would be a little bit of a, when they plop a person in the woods, spirit journey type of situation.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just something to kind of like how we're talking about the free fall a little bit,
right. A place where you really, you're not familiar with anything. It's a whole different experience for you. You're not familiar with anything there.
Right. And even Austin was too close. And Austin, Texas being so near and dear to, like, as a Texan, Austin is, I mean, a musician in Texas too. It kind of just makes sense. Yeah. But again, it just didn't seem like the right move.
Okay.
So at the time.
You're going with your gut.
Yeah.
Nice. Exactly. I respect that. That's amazing.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
It's not easy to just get up. I mean, you said your sister was up there, but still, that's one person. Yeah. It's not easy to uproot your whole life and move anywhere, whether or not you know anybody or not.
Yeah, I guess, like young and dumb, I guess. Yeah. Read it.
In there.
Yeah. In hindsight, No, I think it was cool. It was a good move.
Is there something about the Sam Cooke album that you loved enough to, or maybe I should say, what is it that you loved about the Sam Cooke album that made you name your entire band after Night Beats?
Yeah, good question. For one, I love the word night beats. I just love those words. Okay. I loved seeing it on that album. I love even the typeface that he used, just like the moment in time that album cover can say is, or represent, is really interesting to me. Of course, the music to it is, to me, one of the great sort of, I'm trying to think of a word bigger than a word. It encapsulates just the soul of a singer in a moment where I think that record is like kind of the perfect Sam Cooke record for multiple reasons, but one being it's like a poised sort of like whirlwind kind of thing. Like it seems to me, this record, that it's Sam Cooke in his element, to where he is the saddest, the happiest, the most blind, the most foreseeing, like the album itself I could talk about for days, but I think that, like, the combination of me forming Night Beats under the moniker comes from what those, and of course you grow meaning to things over years too, to me, I wanted words that were in a way pretty broad, like night. I mean, now again, there's so many night bands, and I'm sure there were before. Hell, there was even a Night Beats before I even knew, like in the 50s. So It didn't really, I found out, of course, after the fact, but it's funny because, like, at the end of the day, I'm a rhythm person. I love to study and listen to things with an appreciation for rhythm. So, like, I know that sounds kind of like basic or something, but the idea is that conceptually, just a beat is all you need, and something as all consuming as nighttime casts a certain aura to something,
Yeah. It lends itself to a mood or an atmosphere for whatever you're naming that. Exactly.
So, like, the kind of pictures that I could create in my head with, like, the idea of, like, what Night Beats is to me, it was like it was an interesting thing, because I could go to a lot of different places. I can go to, like, the Smoky Jazz Club. I can go to the punk rock bar. I can go to the psychedelic light show. I can go to the intimate folk setting. I could play on the street corner. I could do whatever it is, and it's Night Beats. And the goal of a lot of things here is not to, how do you say? It's never meant to be a traditional band. Like the idea of like what a band is determined by TV and movies. Like who the fuck cares?
Right.
Like the concept of like a Fab Four, sweet, right on. I can count their records on my shelf. I don't need to argue about that.
Right.
Like, but the concept that people usually have with these things is it's like kind of it's predetermined by like what pop culture is telling us it is. So the idea of being not like putting myself as Danny Lee in the back and having the moniker to work with made it always about the music. So if there was a time when I wanted to change something or to reaffirm its fluidity or,
Right.
like different tries in different places with different sounds and have complete freedom, I just don't know if I've met another asshole like me to really like be comfortable with like really fighting for stuff. I can already fight with myself enough about ideas. Right. Like if I'm supposed to bring something in and like sell it to like a bassist or something, three other guys, yeah. 2 girls, like I don't know, like what the fuck am I doing? Like I think you have to earn that, and maybe it was like some toxicity or something from early on that made that like clipped a wing in some metaphorical sense, but like honestly I felt the most free writing just without names and borders and things like that. So Nightbeats is it's a pseudonym more than anything, and it comes from my love of that record and the fact that R&B and soul music is really kind of the silver thread to everything, which you could talk about the blues, you could talk about what psychedelic means, you could say a lot, but it's a simple thing.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. You answered the next question I had already, which was the band, the quote unquote band, intended to be a solo project from the beginning? And it sounds like the original intent was for it to be something that's you, and then you can mold it however you want as you go.
In a way, like at the end of the day, like I was writing songs and I always wanted to be in a band, I always wanted a gang. I always wanted people that like had my back, and James Traeger, one of my best friends there, like he believed in the music at an early time, and me and him were able to tour that music as a 2-piece, eventually a 3-piece. And so like, if it's something like, so I embrace what I've been fortunate to come in contact with musically and creatively. And the idea of it being a one-man project, and this is a question I get a lot too, because it definitely seems to kind of confuse people, but I just don't really, I'm not interested in defining things certain ways,
right. Okay.
The concept of a calling card that says one-man band or multi-instrumentalist or songwriter / leader, something, that's not my job. I respect the art of trying to figure it out, but I definitely I see it just as, if we're going still with Nightbeats, it's these songs that I've literally played for now 16 years that began as a recording in my girlfriend's basement one day, played with now the 10th or so drummer, bassist. Sometimes I want a harmonica player up there, a harp player. Maybe I'll get the chance to play with a wicked keyboardist. So like it's a mindset. Maybe tribal in its origin, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe something begins with something, but it becomes more. And the concept of ownership over these things at least, I don't think it really concerns me,
Okay.
The music is for the people. So,
the first album, man, that thing is bonkers. I got to tell you,
thank you, man.
It is so wild. It's pure psych. It is amazing. I mean, it is a psych distilled. I can definitely hear some of the influences. I hear way more like 13th Floor Elevators and Sonics and all than the soul and the R&B in this one. But it's like Ain't a Ghost. That is such a cool song. That sounds like maybe like Brian Jonestown Massacre or early BRMC if like Joe Meek was engineering it.
like that. That's cool.
Well, that's what I love about it. It's just such an amazing sound.
Yeah.
I love it. So
thank you.
Is that you doing everything?
Yeah.
I mean, is that just start to finish you drumming, playing everything? And
so that first record, I wanted it to be live. So like we had, it was a 3-piece for the most part. Some tracks I came in and did on my own, but really I wanted to get that live sort of like nastiness. And just with that whole record, thank you for saying that. I mean, it's supposed to be that first sort of like, you have to show almost the most raw kind of thing in the beginning, you know? Like, I mean, I want to see, like, to me, like, honesty is it, you know? Like the idea of like singing about something and it coming from a certain place, that's up to the listener to decide, right? But I think that, you know, I'd agree with you in the sense that like it does have like this sort of, you know, just real aggressive straight up thing. And that's just where my mind was, you know, at that time. And I felt like it was a really good chance to you know,
mission accomplished, because it's insane. I fell in love with it. But are you at that point the primary or sole songwriter?
It was, there were songs that were brought in, and in a way, you know, you collaborate with people. So like, I wasn't, the way I work generally is I come in with the song written, and if magic happens, it happens, you know. There could be a beat that Traeger plays, or there might be something that I just kind of ask for last minute. But it, you know, I believe in collaboration, man. You know, I think it needs to, if the time is right and it feels right, then you just have to follow the feeling. But you know, like it was definitely live band.
So you're collaborating with everybody. It's more of a, you've got the idea and letting the other guys bring themselves into the music. Am I understanding that right?
Yes, essentially. Yeah. You know, like the communication that I can get between who's playing with me is ultimately how the idea gets, you know, fulfilled. Like it needs to be natural. For instance, I might come in and ask for, or even like kind of play something on either bass or guitar and like kind of work with someone through an idea, and they'll do it differently. And it might be better, it might not, you know, it depends on the song, depends on what we're trying to do. As long as everyone's there to, you know, serve the song, you know, it's kind of a common trope these days, but it's the truest thing in the world, is that musicians are here to serve the music, you know? And, it was a long ass time ago too. So I'm trying to remember what
2011.
It was in Tacoma, 20, I think maybe 09, 010.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Yes. I'm looking at this guy. It shows the release year of 2011. Doesn't tell me exactly what, I mean, it could have been January. I don't know. Yeah. I'm looking at just years right now. Man.
I spent a lot of time in that warehouse. I think that's probably right. 2010 sounds right.
Okay. It all kinds of turns to blend together, apparently.
Sure does.
It just all melts, just kind of mushes together into one weird memory at that point, after a certain point.
Yeah, for sure.
So Sonic Bloom comes out, and it's not as crazy, a little more soul and R&B influence in what I can hear, but it's still real heavy on the psych, which is so cool. The first album that I actually knew from Night Beats was Who Sold My Generation. And I'm trying to remember, I think it was maybe BRMC had mentioned it on something, or but I remember finding out about it and seeing that cover and that GMA body on there. I'm not sure if it was a Chevelle or a Pontiac.
Buick, yeah.
Buick. Oh, was it Skylark or a GS?
I think it was a Skylark.
Oh man.
And see, the ticker is also waning on my side too. I'm trying to remember. I think it was a 65 Buick, or maybe 67 Buick.
It looks
Skylark, perhaps. Yeah, I think so. I have terrible memory, so I usually write these things down on paper. Let me see if I can.
Wicked. I mean, you guys, and I think that's part of what drew me in, because you guys look like the villains in a movie like Two-Lane Blacktop or something. And
Cool, man.
I'm like,
yes.
Okay, I'm into this. I got to check this out. So that's the power of artwork.
Exactly.
You get drawn in by the marquee and the GMA body on the
exactly.
Now,
exactly.
I know cool. Robert Bin had contributed to that. Were you working with him before this, or was this the first time that you started really collaborating with him?
That was the first time. I think, the first time.
How did you guys start to collaborate? How did you meet?
We met at a show. I was playing a show in LA, actually on tour. We were doing some shows with Ty Segall and his band. I think we were playing the El Rey Theater. Oh, cool. I think. And my friend Nick was there, and Nick Jodewin, he's a producer. He runs Valentine right now. He's an old friend of mine, great guy.
Okay.
He'd worked on Spectre at the Feast, which was the last BRMC record at the time.
Yeah.
And
one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I love that record, man. Oof, beautiful. Yeah. And Robert was there, and we just kind of got to speak a little bit. And generally with someone I really, really respect, I just tried to shut the fuck up. I really tried, but it's really hard though sometimes.
I know. I mean, criticism I get with the podcast is I talk too much.
Yeah. Well, no, you're great, Mark. You're perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Make this amazingly comfortable. So thank you for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, really.
All right, let's shut up all the critics.
Yeah, shut up, y'all. You heard it from here.
That's right.
It was really just sort of a moment where I was able to meet someone that I really, really respected, and I'd seen play way more times than he probably knows, at this point. So over the years, I have maintained this lie. Band's pretty, band's good. Your second record, has some good stuff. Bro, I was obsessed with those records. How changed my life, to me, I think that record was one of the most one of the coolest moves, I love Take Them On Your Own, that second record. I think that they were just getting real shoegazy with it. And it had punk times, but it was real pretty. I thought something about it was, maybe I was a little partial because I think it was the first record I heard from them before, even Spread Your Love and first self-titled. But to me, it checked also so many boxes because it was incredibly, it was gospel music and it was psychedelic and it was blues, and it was never drinking the Kool-Aid, of that bar blues bastardization shit that happens, it stays away from those pitfalls, which they've, avoided so much. And it's to me, it was a beautiful record. And I love hearing just a stomping acoustic guitar as the first track. Soul Baby.
God, that house, it says so many great songs on it. But
make you wait for stuff. It's great. I love it when artists take their time, man.
It was so worth the wait, though. It was
definitely
so good. And then the little EP that they did afterwards with
I got that too.
Wishing Well.
That too. Mercy.
Yeah,
that song Mercy.
Gosh, man,
beautiful shit.
Anyway, all right, so. We're not here to gush over BRMC, no matter how much we want to. We could do a whole episode on them, maybe.
Yeah, fuck it. We could.
So
but I got to meet Robert through that show.
Right. Okay.
And we ended up just kind of riding each other a bit, and eventually I was working on Who Sold My Generation, and I had a few songs like Vultures and Wolf and B-side songs, and and then there was just a few that really were in this early kind of stages, and it would have, in it was just such an honor to think of him wanting to work on it. You know what I mean? Like, as in like what kind of bass line do you hear here, for instance? Like Right Wrong, for instance. Like I love the bass line that he does on that song.
Yes.
Parts of it that are just, to me, like, you know, kindred spirit, sort of like he understands like what all that stuff I was talking about before, about like what a group is and like what it means to create and like writing just freely and things. And that's where it should begin, you know? Like, I think that's where it really should, any sort of genesis of people trying to make cool shit together, you know? Trying to elevate their spirit from, you know, he understands that.
Yeah. And when you get two talented people like yourselves together, man, it can only be awesome. And I love that album. Porque Mañana. Last Train to Jordan. I mean, Egypt Berry. I love Egypt Berry. That is such a cool track.
Thank you. Thanks, man. We just played that last night.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Oh, I gotta see
Encore
you guys live. Oh man, I gotta
come on out, man. We got you.
Oh, you come to the East Coast. I'm there.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Clyde. What's the Clyde over there?
There he is. There's old Clyde.
Thank you, Clyde.
Teacher. He's even on the bottle. There.
I know. I was tripping out on that. I was like, what year is it, man? How much have I had? Time travel and shit. Better not be moonshine. Better not be fucking moonshine.
Yeah. Well, they sell that now. It can't be moonshine if they actually sell it in the store, right?
It's not moonshine. It's definitely not moonshine. They call it Moon June or some shit. Like it's like a weird brand that I've seen.
Yes, it comes in like a big mason jar looking thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I haven't tried.
They have like all these tropical ass flavors.
Yeah,
you know?
That's not moonshine. Moonshine is supposed to either make you drunk or go blind.
Yeah, come on.
That's it.
You know, neither this time. Next we just like feel disoriented.
You can't use it in a cocktail. Come on.
You can, but you most definitely don't. I think it's you can't. It's like Play-Doh. You know, you can put it into anything. Like you can make a little Lego house with a little bit of Play-Doh around it. No, okay. Anyways, visually digress for a second there.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. So, all right. So, and then you went and did an entire cover of the Sonics Boom album.
Yeah.
How did that idea come about?
I love the Sonics. I love the Sonics. I got that CD from CD Source in Dallas, Texas when I was 14 or so. We were, let's see, that would have been right before Myth of a Man.
Yeah.
And how did it happen, man?
It's been a while.
How do these things? I mean, we recorded it at Ultrasound in Los Angeles, which is a really cool studio. And I had some friends join in, and it became like a real nice kind of just hurrah kind of thing for about 3 days. And I don't know. I can't answer. Like, I think that there was a chance to do another record with Heavenly, you know, the label at the time, the UK based label Heavenly Recordings. And I had always kind of pitched this idea of wanting to do a cover record of like one of my favorite bands. It's usually like Forever Changes or something, or, you know, maybe some like Magnus Opus or something. And then, you know, I think there's just, we had been playing some version of Skinny Mini during sound check, or I'd been working on it somehow. And it turned into sort of just a recording session that was the full album. Wow. We just set a date and did it.
Sets my soul on fire. Oh, when I see her walking down the street, I say, hey baby, now you're kind of sweet.
It's magical, man. What can I say?
Awesome. So this was a real fast production then.
Yeah, it's quick, man. Just try to get most of the stuff live, and, you know, take the take. You know, it's not perfect, dude. It's not supposed to be like it's supposed to be wild and free. I don't know. Everything is supposed to be wild and free.
Not overthinking it.
Exactly. So, but of course, in that process, way overthinking.
Yeah. Well, when you're recording an entire album it's a cover of another entire album, you know, front to back, you can't help but worry about it a little bit. So I understand that.
Yeah, you want to do it justice, you know. Exactly. You want to honor those people. So it was so stoked too, because I got to meet Dusty Watson recently, who's been playing drums for the Sonics for a long time.
Yeah,
I got to give him a record, and that was a full circle kind of moment, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah, that felt good. Cool. That felt good.
Then there's Myth of a Man. Mm-hmm. The sound changed a lot with that. There is a lot less 13th floor elevators, a lot more Sam Cooke in this one, and a lot of Western desert feel to that album to me. I was almost, I guess I would say, amazed by it, because it was such a step forward to me in the songwriting and everything. Just it sounded more expansive, and it might be one of my favorites because I love, like, Am I Just Wasting My Time?
To know if you are okay with me by your side. Oh, have I lost my mind? Please tell me to. Am I wasting my time? Am I just wasting my time?
I guess maybe that's one of the better examples of what I mean by how I feel like it sounded like everything was a step forward. But my favorite is definitely Too Young to Pray. Mm-hmm. That is an amazing song. I love that song so much.
So don't you worry, I can be held down. Take me now, listen what I say, 'cause I'm too young to pray. Hey, hey, hey. Too young to pray. Hey, hey, hey.
Thank you.
Was there a reason that the sound shifted? Because it sounds less like a psych freak out like the first Night Beats, and more I don't want to say subdued, but more Sam Cooke than 13th Floor Elevators.
I see. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's music to my ears. I think because there's definitely some questions about about this record, because you've expressed it like it's described as a step away or something sometimes, and I never really understand what that means, because I mean, I step away from a bus. I step away from, you know, if someone starts taking their clothes off like down the street, I might cross, you know, and like go to the other side.
Yeah. I mean, depending who's doing it, but yeah.
Depending, you know, it's a symptom of maybe what I have for breakfast that morning. I think that the idea that something is supposed to sound like something is my fear, and I think to abolish that fear is to not. It's not about not caring. It's more about just doing exactly what you want at all times. And like in that world, you are supposed to do exactly what you want, and it doesn't matter. And I'm kind of at least like amongst my friends too that I work with, I could be a little too hard sometimes because like, they might have everything ready for me, like for like maybe a music video shoot. Just like if I like to involve my friends in something, like we'll get together and they'll be like, oh, this is all perfect. This place is beautiful. This is really nice. And we have this da 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 da.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, but we need to come back to the very, very, very source of everything here. And it comes down to that same place in Nashville. And it is, how does it feel? Does it feel like I'm being creatively free here? Or does it feel like there are forces around me that are causing, or maybe subconsciously telling me that I need to sound a certain way? And if it's the latter, then I walk. So the most important thing about that experience was that there was no influence from like previous record, later record stuff I was already working on, because I already had written a lot of stuff that were kind of in a way planning to be that fourth record, but I had gone into this situation where Dan Auerbach was interested in just getting in a room together. And to me, life is short. Same way that I got to meet Robert and create beautiful music that was an expression of freedom, creativity, all these things that I really dig. Let's see what this looks like. And next thing I know, I'm in Nashville and I'm getting to sit in with these musicians that have been backed. They've backed like Bill Withers to Elvis Presley to Aretha Franklin, to just like every little hero you could think of that they have been. So even just from an experience of like just a person trying to like live and experience these things, I had to do it. I had to see what it was like, and songs are supposed to be real things that like are in my mind, like they're living and they're moving things. So like if they don't sound the way you intend them to sound, then there might be another dimension going on, at the same time. And, and far be it from me from saying like, if something sucks, then you should think twice, because you can think something sucks. That's cool. I think a lot of stuff sucks. So,
right.
You could please beat your own drum at the rhythm or pace or whatever you feel like in life. But I think that, if there is a departure, it's very much eye of the beholder. And, I kind of love this question because I really get to see a perspective on this, and it's really fun to me, actually. At first it was no fun at all. It was just really? So what's the band? Like you changed, man. You went to Nashville. You got all country. I'm like, I'm from Texas. Like what are you talking about? Like, you know what? That's nice though. You apparently like something that I did before, and you just kind of like want more of that. But ultimately, that's not my goal.
Right. I mean, you don't want to stagnate. Why make the same album over and over again?
Exactly. That just doesn't interest me. Making like a second Sonic Bloom or third generation, like fuck that.
Yeah. It doesn't interest me as a listener, to be honest.
It's unfair to the listener, really. I think, it treats like the listener like they're idiots or something, like that they are, okay, cool. I could do Muppet on a Ping, I could do fucking Ain't a Roast. I don't know. You can make a million songs that aren't sort of like the old stuff, but it's not fun. No, there's nothing interesting about that. And
basically what you're telling the audience is that I know you're going to buy this, so I'm just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm not even going to put any effort into it.
Exactly. So no, thank you.
To me, it wasn't a step aside. It was a step forward because I really liked how the sound broadened.
Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that, man.
All right. Well, you mentioned Dan Auerbach, so I was going to ask you how you met him, but he reached out and expressed interest in working with you then.
Yeah, it was awesome. My understanding. Yeah, the Easy Eye people in Nashville were just really, really kind. And, I definitely was like kind of curious to see what was out there as far as like, people that were heroes of mine that I could maybe, play a little music with at some point, see where it goes. That's it.
Hey, well,
that turns into an album.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast. I want to get people that I admire and just talk to them about what you guys do. And if I've got somebody who says, hey, this person's interested. Let's see where it goes.
And I appreciate that.
Somebody I may know, somebody I may not know. So I want to learn. I just like learning. So.
Likewise, man. Likewise. And what you do is really important. It's an incredibly important thing, because like what we are able to as songwriters is to give maybe a perspective or an understanding of something, or to give the space to understand something without judgment. And having a great conversation like this with you is, there's a lot of bad ones. There's a lot of shitty ones. There's a lot of like, tell me about, they'll try to find something and be like, man, can we just like speak as people, please? So I appreciate what you do. And thank you for that, Mark.
Well,
I really appreciate it.
I like conversation. I don't like bullet point interviews. I hate those. Boring.
It's kind of a drag.
So the next album, Outlaw R&B, which I think might be the most aptly titled album in your discography. To me, to my uneducated musically ears, that's a horrible sentence. My musically uneducated ears.
There you go.
It sounds like
still false, but go ahead.
All right. It sounds kind of like a mix of Myth of a Man and the earlier stuff. There's a little more of the psych in it, but it's not a step backwards. It's a combination of the earlier sounds along with Myth of a Man. And I think that's fascinating. And you started working with Robert again on this one, I believe, right? There's at least that one single. That's all you got.
One of these days, it won't be long. It'll come crashing down along. There may be someday you'll win. Some days you win, and some days you lose. That's all you got. That's all you got. 7 days.
Right. We have That's All You Got. I believe Never Look Back is we got Mr. Bean on the bass. And I think those two were that it was, the world was in a funky place at that time. So it was a little harder to do everything we wanted to, really. But he was there definitely spiritually and, as much as he could in the studio.
So that album did come out in the midst of the whole pandemic. So were you writing and performing that during that time? Because I've heard a lot of albums that were written and ready to go as the pandemic was unfolding and everything got delayed. So was Outlaw R&B the case of an album that got delayed, or was it created during the pandemic?
It was created during the pandemic.
Wow. Okay. Was that recorded by you during the pandemic? Is it just you, or were you doing the file sharing thing? Or
it was me walking into Valentine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Valentine Studios is a great recording studio. So that's where I recorded it. So yeah, it was me going in there. I had my friend Chase do some drums. She's a phenomenal drummer on Stuck in the Morning and parts of Never Look Back. I like to try to do different things with drum beats, like different kind of tricks and things with like getting certain sounds.
Okay.
So there's partial beats of Chase, Noelle. She's awesome. And we had this great house group play with us on That's All You Got for a few takes. My buddy Sam came in. It was kind of a loose kind of spot, for certain tracks. Other times it's just me, Nick. Nick's the genius behind the board. So
you are a lover of analog recordings. And are you still using as much analog as you can, or have you kind of switched over at this point with being locked down to writing and recording Outlaw R&B? How did that all work?
So at the end of the day, I would use analog as much as I could. If this was, back when people would just keep tape rolling during sessions because it was, 50 cents or something a roll. Like, I don't know. Lollipop was like a penny. I don't know.
Back when tape was cheap.
Tape, yeah, it's.
I don't know if that was ever a phrase. I just made that up. I don't know.
No, it definitely was cheaper. It was cheaper than it was now. Yeah, I think at the heart of it, I'm not loyal to anything in that world because I think it could set up limitations potentially. I could love frescoes, but it doesn't mean I'm only gonna go wait for like a giant wall in the south of Italy to paint. Like I'm gonna make what I can while I can. So to me, I'll always choose just what sounds better, and I'm a fan of the texture that analog recording gives it, but I think performance is most important.
Okay. So performance. I've been meaning to ask you this, but I got so involved in the albums, I forgot to ask you about touring. So you're basically the founding member, and there's been a lot of people coming in and out of the band over the years. Have you done a lot of touring, and is that maybe part of the reason that there's been a lot of people coming in and out? I know touring is so difficult with musicians, having to have jobs and families and things like that.
Yeah. Fair question. It is something to where if you are, you tour. Yes. So there's a lot of touring, man. There's a lot of touring that's gone over the years, and just logistically, it's hard for people, like for people who maybe they have a kid and they want to, start a lumber company, or you never know. Like people are the folks that I get the pleasure of playing with are there, again, to be a part of this project and this moment. And I go with my gut a lot. Okay. So there's been tours where I've met people briefly before any tour starts, but when tour is something that you have kind of ingrained in your system after a while, and just the ability, like we were talking about before, where like even at a young age, I was just playing with friends and friends' brothers and sisters and just people that was around. And if they could, like, if they had rhythm and they understood the pocket, then that communication goes a long way.
Right.
So, for someone who is, taking their music out on the road, like with no end really in sight, tour also brings out the crazy in people. So myself included. So, I mean, I'm sure there was years where I was just, very like in my own head maybe, or, maybe just focused on other things, but I was always like there to play. First and foremost, I was there to play and to get the show and to move and feel something. People have different agendas sometimes too. People might be on a trip that you don't know about till halfway through. And you kind of have to remember what it's all about. And to me, it's especially in that performance setting, it's about it's about lifting up, it's about feeling good, and you have to do what's right for the music. And currently I'm just with some amazing players that I just love, and they're my good friends, and we're getting to play a lot.
Throughout the years, looking back on it, is the touring version of Night Beats similar to the recording versions for each album? Like the people you recorded each album with, are those usually the ones that go out on tour with you, or is there a little bit of a separation between them?
There's a separation, but there's also times when there's also times when it's not. So for instance, Chris Scott right now is playing drums with me. He's an old friend. And while I was working on the newest record, I asked him to come in and play, because at that time we'd been playing together a little bit, some shows. I invited him, he's a part of Night Beats, and he wants to, I just felt like it was a great moment where he could just kill it like he does. But with these new songs, like songs he's maybe heard the day before, kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
So to me, I like that trial of fire shit, like I kind of like to be like, okay, so we actually, I might not even mention that we're doing tape. So I don't tell them that we have like one take, kind of thing. which to the disgruntlement of certain people make it a little harder sometimes. But to me, that's the magic. So yeah, I guess there's a separation because there's, songwriting is always something that is a fluid thing inside my old noggin. So I don't really think that I don't like the idea of like kind of relying on other folks, if that makes sense. And maybe that's its defense mechanism. Who knows, man? I want to get psychological where we can. I got all evening.
Yeah.
No, but it comes back to the early stuff too, where I was saying like, when I needed a drummer, I pick up the kit. I picked up some sticks and I learned just like a shuffle beat. I'll just try to learn some Stone Roses songs or something.
Ooh, nice.
Like I just really felt like making an album needs to be a free, pure process. And if people are playing with me, it's not necessarily like a direct line between the studio musician and the performer.
Okay.
It's generally actually not that. No, I guess I could have started with that, but that's how it goes.
Hey, this is just a fluid, relaxed conversation.
Yeah.
We don't have to answer things directly.
Nah, man.
It's a fun and
perspective, man. It's all relative, man.
I should change the name of this podcast. Literally, I mean, honestly, I've gotten like 320 something episodes out so far to just tangents. That should be the name of this podcast.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I think that's really, I got some material for you then. Yeah, you know how to get hold of me.
Oh man, all right. So damn it, Albert just scared the crap out of me. Just licked my elbow. Oh my gosh, I didn't see him, and all of a sudden I feel this wet thing on my elbow. I'm like, what the? It's
good thing it was Albert.
I know. Yeah. All right. So, Clyde,
make your belly laugh there.
All right. So there's a new album on the way out, and at the time of this recording, it is not out yet. But I was fortunate enough to be able to listen to it thanks to you.
Yes.
And you've made something special. This album it's just wonderful. I mean, from the opening track, Hot Ghee, which first of all, I love the name Hot Ghee.
Thank you.
That is awesome. It just makes me think of like Isaac Hayes.
Nice one. Good.
Hot Ghee.
Hot buttered soul. Yeah. Hot Ghee soul.
I love it. But I love the song. On that is so awesome. What are you playing in there? It sounds sitar-ish.
It's actually a baglama.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's and I just got it like real nice and hot, so it sounds a little distorted,
Okay.
It's a Turkish instrument. It's used like a lot in that region. There's a lot of different versions of it, kind of, but a baglama. There's the big ones, small ones. But yeah, it's just this 4-stringed, beautiful piece of living music. It's just this thing I got to hold. And
it sounds amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
I love that. And so it's the opening track. So it's the first thing I heard off of it. And that just set the tone perfectly for this album. And the new album.
Thank you.
Is it Rajan?
Yes, that's great.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's your middle name, right?
Sure is. It's one of my middle names. Yeah. I got a long ass name.
You got more. I don't have a middle name. So you got you've got enough for both of us.
Yeah. Which one you want? You can take. Just choose.
Mark Rajan.
Drop the papers. Drop the papers. Yeah. That's it's my mother's name. It's my maiden name. Yes. Yeah, that baglama though. That baglama is the coolest. You never know, man. Like I found that in a thrift shop, and I think I was in Garland, Texas. There's like a Garland thrift store.
Okay.
Yeah, just sort of, one of those things.
Do you have a lot of weird instruments on this? Because there's some very interesting sounds on this. Like there's the Hot Gee, but there's also Nightmare. You've got this really, it's this awesome like soul sound, and then you've got this like crazy late 70s funky spaced out fuzzed guitar going through it. It's just so cool.
Thank you, man. Was really fun too. Yeah, I love that piano with the kind of like that jagged Isley Brother chord thing that they do, like early Jackson 5 kind of like stabbing thing.
Yes.
Just the same note the entire song. Oh, I love it. Like that stuff was so fun, so fun to play. And yeah, vocal layering is something I really love to dive into deep. I'm really interested in like kind of using vocals as, I mean, in traditional sense, it just means kind of choral aspect, kind of like using like multiple harmonies and layering to sort of like support parts. Okay. It's nothing new, but the way that I was thinking about it was, it was one of the most I always wanted to be part of like a gospel choir, like I went to Catholic church. I didn't go to like Baptist or, some of the other more fun ones,
Same here. I still go.
There you go. Good for you.
Go to the Latin Mass.
There you go. The kind of singing that we would do in that church was, a little bit more Western, I guess, in a way. There's less of a breaking of the soul as opposed to, I don't know, coddling or something. There's certain ways I think that different churches approach godliness through art.
Absolutely.
So the vocal layering on that was a really fun time where I got to sing with these other voices, them being me, but also isolating them and sort of just real detailed sort of Easter egg almost. If like that's the song I've been coming back to the most, listening back, because I just love certain. I talk about this stuff like it's not me, like I'm just like
like you're listening,
complimenting myself, but I'm not thinking of it like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not thinking of it like did this cool thing. Like I remember when I hit that home run. Oh, it went so far. Fuck, that ball's probably broken. Like no, it's not like that. But I do love this song. I do love this song because it's like there's little things that like I just ended up keeping where I thought a lot of times I'd get rid of them. I said a lot more. I gave a lot more room for myself, I think, to just do. Yeah, and producing it and just recording it, being really focused in on it in sort of hypnotic ways is really fun. It's really fun for me.
I'm hearing, like you mentioned, a lot of different sounds on the whole album. Are you a gearhead? Do you have a lot of different instruments and effects and things? Are you something that you collect, or you just...
I am a collector, but I am not a gearhead. I am currently a little limited on like space, and meaning that like on my left is my MIDI keyboard. Literally next to my smoke here is my conga. The other conga is stuck in my closet. I have the baglama right next to me. I have about 3 guitars with me. I got my percussion instruments. I have, shaker. You can always find a shaker. If I'm lost, just follow a trail of shakers somewhere. But like I like to collect cool shit, man. Like to me, like the thing about hockey is that it came from something like just like a tendency of mine, and finding things that fit in different ways is just the most exciting thing for me. So, I'm not super, literate with tech stuff, like tech talk and things. Yeah. If you showed me a like a really rare like thing like on a board, you know, part of a rack at a studio, I probably don't know what it does.
Okay.
I most likely have no idea what it does. But if you were to play me something and compare it to another thing, I think I could hear it. You know,
okay,
and I know what I like too.
Well,
you
that's the thing.
So
You've got the sound in your head. You know what you want.
exactly, yeah, and a lot of that comes from the basics. You know, it comes from my fundamentals of like what sounds real to me, like what makes something sound real, and then I go from there. I don't think that digital stuff like things are like, a lot of people are purists, and I think that's close-minded. So anything goes.
One of the songs that just kind of blew me away. It was so weird. The song's Osaka.
Yeah.
I love it. It really fooled me because for the first like 14, 15 seconds, it's this slow, chill sound. And then the beat starts and it completely changes the profile of the song. But I love it. It's such a cool song.
Yeah.
What are you using on that? Is that another strange instrument, or is that?
Yeah, that's actually this old sound that created from. I'll tell you later how I made it.
Okay.
But basically, it was visually to me. You know, I sometimes write from a perspective of, you know, visually, what do I hear and like what does it sound like? For instance, like hockey, like what does that sound like? Like all those things included, like what does it sound like?
Yeah.
And Osaka, I felt like we needed to be in a misty dojo at like 4:30 a.m. There needs to be something sitting in the corner in the courtyard that's growing. And then by the time the drums and the real sort of like trippiness of the tape delay and the vocals and the choruses come in, you're already out the courtyard on the horse traveling to the mountaintop. Like wow, that's what happens. And a lot of the kind of the lyrics and the words of those songs are, you know, that old song, they call it, some people call it like some of the foundations of hip hop actually, but you know, it's Bo Diddley and he's like riffing, he's just kind of like telling jokes and different things like that. So I really dig that. And I wanted to also use the time to honor a lot of folks with that moment. Okay. So, I mean, I say like Charlie Brown and stuff, but like there's a lot of like old musicians, R&B musicians, like Ruth Brown, Professor Longhair, different people that I actually just like straight up call for, I summon or something, you know. And it's me like lighting candles, you know. It's like me sort of like honoring the people that like make what I, you know, why I'm here and everything. So yeah, thank you. It's supposed to be like that. You mentioned, you described it interestingly, like that landscape shift is intentional in a way. So
in that song in particular, you mentioned a scene in that you're kind of evoking. Is that the way you write normally? Is it a visual aspect, and you have something in your mind and you want to write a song that kind of represents what you're seeing, or was that just an unusual, different situation?
Yeah, sometimes. Okay, I'd say sometimes is like 40 to 50%, right? That would be like what half. Sometimes means. yeah. I'd say something half like that. Half to
less than half is definitely sometimes, I think.
Yeah, I think everything's connected, you know? Like, it's the same thing, you know?
I think one of my favorite songs on the whole album, and possibly your entire discography, is Cautionary Tale.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
That song, it blows my mind. To me, it sounds like if Black Rebel Motorcycle Club wrote a song for Sam Cooke. we mentioned Sam Cooke a lot this episode, but he's definitely a presence in your music as a whole. But to me, it's like Black Rubber Motorcycle Club wrote a song for Sam Cooke that was going to be in a David Lynch movie.
Wow, that's amazing. That song almost got cut. So that's really amazing to hear you say that. So
that might be one of my favorites that you've written ever. I love that song.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you, Mark.
Dusty Jungle. Dusty Jungle to me, and I guess I keep referencing I'm self-referential in this a lot, but I guess that's kind of goes with the territory. That has a Robert Ben vibe to it. To me, he's got a definite unique sound to his singing, to his bass playing. That sounds like that was either an influence or maybe an homage to him. Was there any involvement in there, or was it subconscious? Because I definitely feel him in that song.
You're on the wire, losing grip from the world. You slip away to the ether from the madness. Crashing down now.
Well, I think that's beautiful. I don't think that was a conscious thing like you're saying, but this is all subconscious. Everything about writing is subconscious. So very well, maybe he was. Maybe he was there.
Thinking about him. So,
he's one of my best friends. So
that's awesome.
He's always in my heart.
Is there any collaboration on this album with anybody? I mean, or was this basically just written on your own?
Well, let's say Osaka, the song you mentioned, that features my friend Ambrose, who's just a brilliant musician. He plays in King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah, he's doing some harmonica and he sings those choruses. The soaring vocals kind of like they come in. So that was, and my friend Chris Maciel, he helped getting that to that trippy place with the tape delay. We worked together on that one. So Osaka really is the one that has the most, or really anybody else, though, writing wise and things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you planning on taking this out on the road at all? I know we had talked a little bit about some touring with some other bands and all, but are you taking Night Beats out on the road to support this at all? Yes.
There's nothing booked besides Austin Psych Fest right now. I'm working on some things. And as I said before, I'm preparing for this tour in June with my other group. Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to, man. We've been playing these shows in SoCal the last few days here, and it feels good. It feels real good.
That is awesome.
It definitely is like, to me, like it's sort of a given that it's going to happen, because I've been crafted this way. I don't know. I've been capitalistic fucking slave over here. I don't know. No, but it's built into the performer's life, man. Like there's like an element to stuff. Like I dream of those people. I don't know if I dream of it, but I think of the folks that like get to a point where they just create. I mean, the Beatles did it, but they get to a point where they just make albums for the studio. Yeah. And I think that is like kind of a luxury that doesn't necessarily precipitate creative freedom. In a way, like touring should be done a certain way after a while, like just to get out there and play. You have to be in a place where like your mind is right for it, I can imagine. And that's kind of like my main focus right now, like getting to a place where like the tours look like things that are just exactly, not exactly, because nothing's perfect, but you get to a point where you want to just do it right and be around the people and play the venues without thinking about like ticket sales and all the things that like go into it behind, which you kind of inherit when you do things all yourself anyways. But yeah, I'm very looking forward to playing Hotkey a lot more times live.
Oh,
and Blue, playing that song's been fun.
Yeah. Oh, man. This album is my favorite Night Beats album to date. It's
wow, thank you.
It's just so. I don't know. It's hard to put into words. I just go back to it all the time. I've listened to it so many times in the past several, since you sent me that link. It's just,
oh man,
I cannot wait to actually get and I'm going to have to get a physical copy. I'm one of those guys that has to get a physical copy, or else I don't feel like I actually have it.
Definitely. I'll send you the artist version or whatever, which has like a special poster in it too.
Oh, that'll be amazing.
Yeah, I'll make sure I save you one more.
Oh, I appreciate that. Because I got so bummed today, record store day, because I had my record. Well, I had my local record store. They participate, and 2 months ago, I'm like, "Hey, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club's coming out with Live at Levitation. Can you get me a copy?" And like, all right, we'll write it down. And today I called, and I'm like, "Hey, did you guys get it?" I'm like, "Oh no."
Dang, what happened? Just didn't get in the mail in time?
I don't know. I think they smoke a lot of pot and they just forgot. I think it's this guy and his son, and they're just, I don't know, even when they're there, they're just like not there. I like them. They're nice, super nice guys, but their whole system, their whole way of ordering this stuff was like they took an old receipt and they wrote what it was and my phone number down.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I guess if I should have known at that point, I'm just like, my chances of getting this are pretty slim. So.
They could drive to DC or something for it. The record store, they don't make it easy on you either, because it's like, I'll be the first to say go support your local record shop, but you have to pre-order it sometimes, and it gets like lost in the back order. You never know, man.
Oh yeah, and I know the BRMC only had the flexi disc is like limited to 4,000 worldwide or so. So
oh, cool.
So I have I have to wait till next week and when my wife gets paid again. But I've got the disc itself. I've got it in my Amazon cart. Waiting. That's my record store now to get this. So it's in my cart waiting to hit checkout, but I don't know if it's going to have the flexi disc in it or not. But
the flexi.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you could probably order it from Levitation too. Just from their website. They might have a link. That's
a good point. I didn't even think of that. I'll have to check. Man.
Yeah, never know.
So, all right. So the album is slated to come out. Is it in June? July. Okay, July. Mm-hmm. So what's the best way for people to pre-order it or find it and follow you and see what you're doing and follow you on your many tour adventures with your many bands?
Yes. Listen to the record.
Well, there's Bandcamp, right?
Well, there's Spotify. Yeah. We got the record on. And it's in the Matrix. It's like on the Spotify and the Apple and the Pear and the Spotify and the
and can you pre-order it on
yeah,
Bandcamp?
You sure can. Yeah. Bandcamp, I believe you can pre-order it, but there's a link on our Instagram that usually works for a lot of stuff. Like it just has when you click it and then it shows like all the stores you can pre-order it from. And I always recommend local stores, please support small businesses. Absolutely. But also tour dates, and it goes to the Bandcamp and the website and things. And you search Night Beats pre-order. It should be good. And just shoot me a message if you can't find it, and I'll link you. There you go. Small operation over here.
And you're on social media. Is that what the best to follow?
Pop operation.
Yeah. No mom.
Not mom. Pop. Not yet.
So Instagram, is that the best social media platform? Is that the one you prefer, or do you care?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we get to post photos and stuff, and running website. I'm not there for that. I mean, we have a website. I just don't really know how it works. And there should be a shop link. Okay, there should be a shop link where you can pre-order. But if it's not up to date, then definitely Instagram and eventually we'll get the site working. And
All right, so it's at Night Beats on Instagram. Is that it?
At the Night Beats.
The Night Beats. Okay, and
And Suicide Squeeze Records also will have all the links you need. Suicide Squeeze Records and Fuzz Club Records in the UK.
Yeah.
It's worldwide between the two of those guys.
Awesome. And Nightbeats, the nightbeats.us, is that the website? Or is it different?
Yes.
I'm just pulling up off of Google right now. That's the first one that popped up. So
yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, you might want to
if it's
check
not, I'll edit out.
I'll make some stern phone calls. That's okay. Hey, you could find the album for sure. And of course, get a hold of me if you can.
Look, and if you don't find it, you're going to find the Sam Cooke album, which is pretty good too.
Which is a win-win,
Exactly.
or you'll find the 50s band and you'll be like, dang, what the hell? What's going on?
Awesome, man. This has been a ton of fun, man. Thank you so much.
Man. Thank you, Mark, man. It's been so pleasurable and comfortable, and I hope to do it again, man.
Definitely.
There's some orcas and some dolphins and fish over there that they've heard of the second record. And, they saw you live in Barcelona or something. Or,